Welcome everyone to Comedywala's audio story. I am John Doy. Today I am here with a new story. If you like the story, share it with your friends and family. Starting with the terrible old Haveli. In the small village of Ratanpur, there stood an ancient mansion known as the Purani Haveli. Once a magnificent estate, it had been abandoned for decades, shrouded in tales of terror and mystery. Locals whispered about ghostly apparitions and strange noises emanating from the mansion, warning everyone to stay away, especially after sunset. Rajesh, a young journalist eager to make a name for himself, arrived in Ratanpur to investigate the rumors. He was skeptical of the supernatural and believed that a good story about the mansion would skyrocket his career. Armed with a flashlight, a camera, and his notebook, he decided to spend the night in the Purani Haveli, documenting his experience. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Rajesh made his way to the mansion. The iron gates creaked open with a loud groan, setting the tone for the eerie night ahead. The front door, hanging loosely on its hinges, allowed him entry into the grand yet decaying interior. Dust covered every surface and cobwebs adorned the corners like intricate lace. Rajesh set up his camera in the main hall, where a massive chandelier hung precariously from the ceiling. The air was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional rustling of leaves outside. As he explored the mansion, he noted the faded portraits on the walls, each face seemingly staring back at him with hollow eyes. Hours passed and the mansion remained eerily quiet. Determined to uncover something, Rajesh ventured into the basement. The air grew colder as he descended the creaky wooden stairs. The basement was a labyrinth of dark, narrow corridors, and the walls were lined with old, rusted tools. He felt a chill run down his spine as he noticed deep scratch marks on the stone walls. Suddenly, his flashlight flickered and died, plunging him into darkness. Panic set in, but Rajesh fumbled for his spare batteries, managing to get the light back on. To his horror, he found himself facing a closed door that had not been there moments before. Gathering his courage, he pushed the door open. Inside was a small, dimly lit room. At its center stood an ancient wooden chest, intricately carved with symbols he couldn't recognize.
As he approached the chest, he felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Against his better judgment, he opened it. Inside lay a collection of old, yellowed letters and a worn-out diary.
The diary belonged to a woman named Lakshmi, who had lived in the mansion over a century ago. Her entries detailed her life, filled with sorrow and despair. She wrote about her abusive husband, a cruel man who dabbled in dark rituals, and how she was trapped in the mansion, unable to escape his torment. Her final entry spoke of a ritual that would bind her spirit to the mansion forever, cursing anyone who dared to intrude. As Rajesh read the last words, a cold hand grasped his shoulder. He spun around, finding himself face to face with the ghostly figure of Lakshmi. Her eyes were filled with tears of blood, and her mouth twisted in a silent scream. The temperature plummeted, and a howling wind whipped through the basement. Terrified, Rajesh fled the room, but the mansion seemed to conspire against him. The corridors twisted and turned, leading him deeper into its heart. Lakshmi's ghost followed, her wails echoing through the halls. He stumbled upon a hidden chamber, where the walls were lined with human skulls, their empty sockets staring accusingly. Realizing he was trapped, Rajesh tried to remember the layout of the mansion. He retraced his steps, finally finding the staircase that led to the main hall. As he reached the top, The chandelier above him began to sway violently. He darted toward the front door, but it slammed shut before he could reach it. In a final act of desperation, Rajesh hurled himself at a nearby window, crashing through the glass and landing on the overgrown lawn outside. Bruised and bloodied, he looked back at the mansion. The ghostly figure of Lakshmi stood at the window, her expression one of sorrow and longing. Rajesh never spoke of that night to anyone, but he left Ratanpur forever. The Purani Haveli remained abandoned, its dark secrets sealed within its walls. The villagers continued to tell stories of the journalist who dared to enter, and the spirit of Lakshmi, who still roamed the halls, waiting for someone to free her from her eternal torment.